Meaning like, can I be you on Facebook for a second, Sharon? Sharon, can I post as you on Facebook for a second?
What?
Can I put this here?
Yeah. You have the link?
This doesn't work that way. Yeah, I just tried to copy it. Is that the YouTube links? Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you do that and I'll do it over my phone, okay?
Okay. Oh, is that going to work?
Where'd it go? Still there? Over here.
No, it's on a different window, I think.
There it is.
There it is.
This is live.
Hi, guys. We're back. The siyum? No, that was on the Facebook page of the siyum. The service for the siyum, it's going to be around 8:30, I think, or 8:45. Oh, the Ma'ariv? I don't know.
Because we have Simchas Yantif. V'achila v'shtia, and the eating, some of you said that. What gladdens your heart, achila v'shtia, mo'il kamo b'samin. It prevents that feeling of despair. And oh my gosh, life is over. Kamo b'samin. So what we're saying is the achila and shtia that you have, because you do have a chiyuv of Simchas Yantif. You don't have a chiyuv of Simchas Shabbos. You have a chiyuv of Oneg Shabbos. But you have some other special thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us that we knew from the Gemara in Beitza. We have this special Neshama Yatir. You also have something special that's happening to you on Yantif. And that's the achila and shtia that you have to gladden your heart, right? Basar, yayin, I don't know. Whatever you have that's special that gladdens you on Yantif, that is helping you. You kind of sense that. It's kind of helping you ease your way out of Shabbos. And Tosfot says very confidently, "V'yesh tamim lo nechonim v'zeh tam nachon v'yikach." You know, there are other opinions which people offer, but they're wrong. Right. So, but clearly, I mean, you have to deal with the Rabbi who actually puts in b'samin because they actually feel that's not enough, right? But what's curious is the Rashbam, right? The Rashbam who says that we have the Neshama Yatera, which we don't. And I think that their explanation, and that the explanation of Tosfot, all you have to do is look at the Havdalah of Motzi Shabbos. We seem pretty, I think the Tosfot seems pretty confident, and I think that we are pretty confident that the idea of eating and rejoicing to kind of deal with the parting of the Neshama Yatera, it works. Okay, now we're going to go to the third section. Now, yeah, you have any questions up until here? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Did they ever discuss why we have the nair?
Nair? Yeah, of course, because Nair itself, Havdalah, from the beginning it very much plays itself out. Why we don't have the Nair on Yom Tov?
No, why we do.
Why we do on...
We do have it.
Right, because it's really like an inclusio, right? The way you take in Shabbos, the way you take out Shabbos, right? So that idea of light being a new beginning, or the end, so like that's how we bring in Shabbos, is how we take it out. Now, Nair is important on Shabbos for many reasons. One reason is because you have a chiyuv of Suda, and Suda, at least according to Shmuel in the Gemara, you can't, or those who follow Shmuel. Shmuel doesn't say it specifically, but Rav Huna and Rava later, as quoted by Abaye, will later say that the Nair itself, you can't have a Suda in Kiddush Shalom Makom Suda, you need to have the light for Shabbos, because light glad it's part of your oneg. So when you say the Karata l'Shabbat oneg from Yeshayahu in Perek Nun Hey, I think Pasuk in Gimel, when it says the Karata l'Shabbat oneg, people sometimes say that, you know. You have the Nair itself, oneg, it's like, oneg means delights, like the things, but I believe it means the lights, you know what I mean? So the way it's understood is that the lights itself enable you to have a Suda, otherwise you're sitting in dark. And sitting in darkness, some say you can't fulfill Kiddush at night. So light is an important component to kind of bringing in the mastery and the oneg of Shabbos, not joy. I wouldn't say simcha, otherwise people can't have shiva, you know, because there's no one has a chiyuv of simcha on Shabbos, you have a chiyuv of Amik. So that's a whole separate sugya about how Ner plays a very important role. But because Ner is critical for Shabbos, you take it, the way you take it in is the way you take it out. And that's why that's why you're slowly easing out. It's almost like you start with the bookends, right? It's you're Makadesh the Yom. I mean, that'll be important, but the reason that you're Makadesh the Yom, you have Yayin first because Tadir. But what would you ideally like to do? And it's a great segue into what we're going to be talking about when we're going to be looking at the various opinions right now. Because some will say that Ner has to be one of the bookends, because the way you take in Shabbos, right, is the way, maybe it should be the last thing, or maybe it should be the first thing, maybe it should be kind of going like this, or maybe it should be going like this. So you'll have differing opinions based on that. It's a good point. Okay, so let's try to decode. You have so many opinions here. Now, because I was asked to end in 10 minutes, I kind of want to just mention now that the important voices that the Chachamim are giving us here is very critical. One reason I think it's really critical to teach this to students at a young age, and even adults need to kind of reclaim Yaknahaz, is to demonstrate that there's a tolerance of differing opinions, and that every voice is important. Often what you might see in the Gemara is two-way machloket, three-way machloket, sometimes even four-way machloket. But to have so many, and really in almost like a chronological order, which the Chachamim know what the halacha is, and obviously when you learn Gemara, you're not learning halacha l'maisa. But what you are doing is you're really celebrating the various voices. And that's going to be very important, because each one has something very critical to represent. Okay, so let's attack it. Sorry. So first, I'd like us to see two camps. I'd like to see Rav, and I'd like us to see Shmuel. Rav says Yakna, and Shmuel says Yanhak. Okay. So they both agree with Yayin. Okay, so if you want to kind of even switch to that last page I have, you can see what's first order, second order, third order, fourth, fifth only applies to Abaye and Rava later on when we're dealing with Shehafiyanim. Okay, that's when you have 5 variables. So anyone who's a mathematician, you can see that you have different variables. By the way, you could have more variables. They didn't do every single one, every single option, but you can go on. The sugya actually continues on in a very incredible way. But okay, so the first thing is that you have Rav and Shmuel both say Yayin, showing that they're following Beit Hillel Shita, Beit Hillel's opinion of what? Remember, these are Amorayim. Rav and Shmuel, first generation Amorayim. Okay? Following Beit Hillel, who says, Tadir v'sheino tadir kodem. So, Tadir v'sheino tadir kodem. We know that Yayin has to be first. So they don't have any machloket about that. What they do want to argue about is whether or not I mekadesh the Yom first. Do I bring in Shabbos first and then do I take out Shabbos first and then bring in Yantif? Okay? Or do I bring in Yantif and then take out Shabbos? What would be the nafkamina? What would be the nafkamina, really? If you're saying it on one coast, it's like we're talking about a millisecond, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. What's the real difference? You're doing it all at once. What do I care? So someone explain to me, why do I care? What does it mean that I'm taking in Shabbos first? Well, who says I take in Shabbos first, by the way? Who says I take in Shabbos first? The one who says Kiddush is the one who's saying I take in Shabbos first.
So Rav.
So Rav. Rav says Kiddush comes first. Shmuel says, no. Take out Shabbos, respectfully, and then bring in Yantif. Okay. So that's really going to be the nature, and they put Nun and Hey together, right? So that's going to be the nature of our argument. So what I'd like to do is when we look at the various other opinions, let's see if they're in the Rav camp or the Shmuel camp. Now, it's not as seamless as that, but I think that it'll really help us kind of think about that that's really the Ikar of the Machlokah. Do I say I have to respectfully take out Shabbos? Or do I say, look, Yantif happens. Yantif happens. You have to be Makadesh the Yom. And Kiddush HaYom is more important for me to do than taking out Shabbos, right? Taking out Shabbos, one can argue, Havdalah might be a Durabanan, not a Dioraisa. But the idea of being Makadesh the Yom maybe should take precedence. Is they were respectful also. Okay. So the next one that we see is Rabbah. And by the way, I gave, for those people who have the Gemara, you can follow me in the Rashbam. This is very much the way I want to explain that the Rashbam gives a very good explanation as to what's the thinking of each opinion. Why would one go for one side over the other? Rashbam explains that Rabbah here, what does he say? Yayin, Havdalah, Ner Kiddush. Whose camp is he in, Rabbah? No. Right. So he's in Shmuel's camp. Let's do Havdalah first. What does he change? Ner, he changes the order of Ner. So what I have, let's think, Yayin's there first because Tadir. He agrees Tadir Vesheno, Tadir Kodim. Check. Okay? No disagreement there. Then we have Ner, right? And then we have Havdalah, sorry. And then what did he do? He put Ner between Havdalah and Kiddush. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? So Rashbam suggests that it's a break. That you want to have some kind of hefsek, some kind of break between Havdalah and Kiddush, right? So that you could show that there's two separate entities, even though it's Chad Meltahi, it's one entity. You want to show a distinction between the two. Now, I could have used Yayin, but I can't use Yayin because Tadir Rishino, Tadir Kodim. So who's going to be my pawn that I can move around? It's going to be Ner. And that's why I put Ner there. I'm using Ner to be like my placement holder. Okay. Levi does something bold. Kiddush, Ner, Yayin, Havdalah. Who does he go like? Whose camp? No. He's in Rav's camp. So he's in Rav's camp. And what does he do? What does he take out? What does he mess up completely?
Yayin with the vanilla, not Kiddush.
Yayin has moved from its Tadir Vesheno Tadir Konem spot. According to Rashbam, the way he shifted Yayin is he put it next to Havdalah. Rashbam explains the following. And if I had time, I would learn all these Rashbams with you. They're really interesting. Why do I put Yayin next to Havdalah? Now, Kiddush is first because I want Kiddush first because I go like Rav if I'm in that mindset. But why did I shift? Why did I shift Yayin? Because has anyone ever not had Yayin on Shabbos? Yeah. You have to add your suda. What do you do?
Make it on something else. Juice.
Let's say you don't have juice. But you make challah. I can make Kiddush on challah. I can't do that with Havdalah. Havdalah it relies on the chefza, as he puts it. The chefza of Havdalah is intrinsically connected to the mashka. That's how we say Havdalah al hakos. Remember, you have Havdalah batfilah, Havdalah al hakos. Havdalah needs a mashka. It needs something that you're drinking. And if you don't, so it's more dependent on yayin than Kiddush is. So I want it to be very clear that yayin needs to be next to that. That's the opinion here as Levi. Now I'm going to throw in a wrench here. The Yerushalmi says it differently. I want to say something here that, just to play around, it's a lot of fun play. Rabbah and Levi's places were switched. Levi happened to have been, as Rashbam explains, a chaver of Rav and Shmuel. Chaver of him. So if I'm working in chronological order, you should have put Levi before you put Rabbah. But they put Rabbah first. So just switch their shita. Why do you say that Levi holds like that Levi holds like Shmuel and not like Rav? Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to say that Levi's opinion is really Yayin, Havdalah, Ner, and Kiddush, and that Rabbah's opinion is Kiddush, Ner, Yayin, Havdalah? Well, because we have a Yerushalmi where he's quoted there, and he's quoted with them, and we know that he did that. So there's an interesting little, by the way, if you learn Arvei Psachim, it's one of the craziest, if you're into Hagod Habach and a lot of the editings, it's one of the, and you're into like a little like mistakes here and there, it's fraught with a lot of errors, etc. which is fun if you like that. It also is the only parak in all of Shas that has Rashi and Rashbam as well as Tosfot. We know that after Rashi dies, Rashbam takes over. But here you have actually Rashi alongside Rashbam plus Tosfot in the last parak. So aside from the shadim, which can get you a little bit, but everything else in that parak tends to be really extraordinary. Okay, I mean, if you like shadim, you'll find it extraordinary. Look on your bed. No, careful looking on your bed. Okay, so Rabbanan. So the Rabbanan says Kiddush Yayin Ner Havdalah, just to kind of try to finish this up a little bit. Kiddush Yayin Ner Havdalah. What has happened? So if you hold by the Rashbam, you do that Rabba Levi switch. Sorry, Levi Rabba switch. Okay, now Rabbanan. What is that? Kiddush Yayin Ner Havdalah. What is it? What is that? What have I done? I put Yayin before Ner and Havdalah. Why did I do that? So basically, I want to have that break. I like that idea of the break in between Kiddush and Havdalah. But I also like to preserve, once you don't have Yayin in the first order, I like to preserve the idea of Yayin Ner Havdalah, preserve the Seder of Havdalah. Yayin Ner Havdalah. Again, Rashbam's understanding of why this is the opinion of Rabbanan. Mar Brei de Ravana. Look who comes first. And I want to think about, we had said before, I want you to cut Rachel Land, everyone knows, Rose, sorry, what you had said before, Ner, Kiddush, Yayin, Havdalah. Why do I put Ner there? Ner takes a front row seat. Look at Kiddush, Yayin, Havdalah. I want to maintain that separation, like we had in the third opinion, right? So I want there to be a break between Kiddush and Havdalah. We know that this is like Rav. Kiddush is first. Why is Ner there? Why would I put Ner first? Why?
You start with a Ner before you
You start with a Ner. How did I bring in Yontif? I don't care whether or not now he agrees that Kiddush comes first. What do I do as soon as Shabbos is over and it's Yontif? What's the first thing I do?
Light candles.
You light candles.
Yeah.
So wait. But this is the light that's supposed to be for Havdalah. But what light do I use for Havdalah when it's Motzi Shabbos? For when I want to do, right? You use a light. Usually you need an existing light. That's where you get all those extra large candles. But yeah, you need to remember to light it. You have a light. You make Lahadlik Ner, but you've already made a bracha on it. Can I make another bracha? Yeah, because it's an existing flame. You can. What do? You say Borei. Aish. You look at that Aish. That's where you make. So what do the Chachamim think here? They're saying, well, it's already happened already. It's like usually you do a masa and then you do your bracha. But the masa was done now, so you have to do your bracha. Right? You have to. It's right there. You need to do the bracha first. It's waiting for you to say a bracha on it. So before you do anything else, make that bracha on there. That's how Rashbam explains it. So that's why we get there. And Marta, quoting Rabbi Yehoshua, likes that idea, puts Ner there first, but he goes like Shmuel. And he also wants Yayin next to Havdalah, because he feels it belongs there better. Do you see how they're learning from each other? And they're incorporating them into their shitot? And then you have Kiddush at the end. So they're learning and they're incorporating, but they're also innovating. And Rabbi, quoting Rabbi Yoshua ben Chananya, does not Ner, Havdalah, Yayin, Kiddush. Why would I do that? Ner for the same reason. I want Havdalah there, but I want there to be a separation between Yayin and Kiddush. So I'm going back to the third opinion. And finally, before we get to Rav and Abaye, and I'll be done in a sec. That's okay. Okay.
See what you
I want to talk about this mushal. This mushal of the Apirkos and the Melech. So who's the Apirkos and who's the Melech? The Melech is Shabbos, and the Apirkos is Yantiv. So here we're explaining the opinion. It's funny because it shows that this is really not an innovation of Shmuel, but it actually goes all the way back. And it's interesting Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, who went all the way back to Rabbi Yassi, who went back all the way to Rabbi Yoshua ben Chananya. It goes all the way back, yet we don't paskin like it, but it's such an interesting, it has such an interesting history. And what is it? It's that Havdalah comes first. So the melech deserves its right to leave first. You give the due respect to Shabbos, and then, only then, you can bring in Yontif. There's a secondary level of kavod. The melech is Shabbos. The apirkos is Yontif. Why don't we follow that? I mean, why did they spend so much time giving us a mashal about it? We didn't spend as much time on Rav, and yes, Hilchata Karava, who is really ostensibly following Rav. Why do I do that? Why? Why? Why am I spending so much time on this? It's a beautiful idea. I mean, one can argue the reason we don't follow it is because there's a break in time. There's almost like a millisecond in time. You look at the Rashbam also, there's a millisecond in time where you don't have anything. You have no Kedusha Yontif. Right? You make Havdalah, and then you have to make Kiddush. And what's that little nanosecond in time? There's like this space of a Kedusha. So maybe that's why we need that overlap. Okay, nice. But we're spending this time demonstrating, in my opinion, that every single opinion has such credibility, even if we don't follow it. It's not about Lalach L'Maisa. It's about the beauty of each one's opinion. Rav and Abaye clearly are following Rav. Because you take out the Zayin, you take out the Shechianu, you're clearly following Rav. It's Yaakov. The just question is where we put the Zayin, the Shechianu. Now, can you think on your own for a moment, why would Abaye put the Shechianu, it goes Yayin Kiddush Shechianu, near Havdalah? Why would I put the Shechianu there? Think like Abaye if you can.
It's nothing to do with Ner and Havdalah.
Good. So it's nothing to do with Ner and Havdalah because Shechianu, why am I saying Shechianu that moment? For what?
New holiday.
It's for the Yantif. Shechianu belongs there. It's for the Yantif. Rava, he says, you say Yayin Kiddush Ner Havdalah, and then you put the Shechianu at the end. What do we do L'Maisa, by the way? We know Hilchata Ke Rava. We do that, actually. We put, it doesn't make more sense to go like Abaye. I'm saying Shechianu for my day. I'm not saying Shechianu. So why do I say Shechianu? Why do I say Shechianu? When do I say it? I say it at the end. So actually, I'm going to quote one of my Rebbeim, Rabbi Dr. Chaim Soloveitchik, who has a beautiful idea when he talks about the idea of Shechianu. That Shechianu, and he says in the name of his father as well, the Rav, that Shechianu itself is not only about that particular bracha, it's about the moment in time. Anytime you say Shechianu, by the way, we do the same thing for Hanukkah. There's a machloket between the Maharam in Rottenberg and the Maharam. Like, what do you do? When do you say Shechianu? There are those opinions who say you should say Shechianu after Hadlakat Nerot Hanukkah, after you light the Ner, Shechianu, sing Hanerot Halalu, then say Sha'as HaNisim. Right? You do the Shechianu first. You do it specifically on there, and the way we paskin, it seems to really be in accordance in this way. It's not only on the particular idea that it's Yontif, but it's on this whole experience of Shabbos leaving and Yontif coming in. The whole entire experience needs to have this closure, this conclusion, this end moment of what? Yes, of Shechianu. That we think HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and this is how Dr. Soloveitchik puts it, this moment in time needs to be the quintessential moment. And it's not replaced. And by the way, this is why they're kind of two sides of one coin, right? Chada Miltahi. That this is one entity of Kiddush and Havdalah together that is merged together. And then once you have that bracha collection, then you say Shechianu. Then you enjoy that moment in time. With this, I just want to close with something that I feel is really important. That the way in which Chazal really tease out this discussion is an important lesson for us in learning and in halachic observance. That you have to look at the variety of opinions, the tolerance of various opinions, as long as they're respectful and they're done with understanding and giving people the room can really lend the spirit of richness of who we are as a people when we accept Torah. When we accepted Matan Torah, we just a few weeks ago learned Nasa V'Nishma. And my another teacher, Rabbi Yehuda Henkin, said that when Nasa V'Nishma happened, think about how it's done in the plural. That when you have a plurality of voices, you know, it says Vayachan, they were one, and then they stood there, B'kol Echad. But Nasa V'Nishma was done in a plurality. How come? Because everyone has a different opinion. Everyone has a different perspective. And that is the way we accepted Torah. And he makes a point to say there, women, men, children, everyone who contributes is contributing to the perpetuation of learning. And the importance of this siyum, which I believe is the importance of the siyum, was this ability to lend itself, to open itself up to everyone's contributions. Now, I would have liked to have Miriam Galasa give a little bit of a contribution tonight. Unfortunately, we're going to have that on live stream maybe. But everyone's contributions to the siyum, to people coming and learning, to people participating, this is what allows us to continue to perpetuate Torah and to keep it alive, to really keep it a Torah Chaim. And in that way, I really appreciate that you're here as a part of this celebration.
Thank you.
Are there any questions about that? Yeah. And I think the siyum starting in 5 minutes. Yeah. Marta. Were you able to
We got the second half, I think. I hope.
is
Hi, people at home. I'm sorry. That was mostly my fault. But we fixed it. See you soon. I'm not going to touch anything, so you're going to hear all of our conversation until we get downstairs.
It's actually male. But Marta is a male. Marta Brader of Arya. Oh. Pleased to meet you too. Excuse me, but Marta is like, for example, my shul, Marta the Atra. It's a Marta. Marta. But Marta is a feminine form. Thank you. I know.
This is Zion Shafnanu.
Zman. Shachiana B'Kivani. Zman.
And that works.
Zman.
Better.
Yes.
So I have an actual audio of like the left. It occurred to me halfway through that I was like, oh, if I can't figure out the internet, I should at least have an audio. So there's like 42 minutes of audio. But let's see. You can decide whether you want to put it up without the.
I'm really sorry.
You seemed so awake. You were like really into it. I was like, I can't believe that
I'm used to next.
like 5 minutes ago she was talking.
No,
No, now it's like the Torah is gone and now you're like.
You don't worry, you'll hear me hacking during the scene. It's okay.
I'm so glad you could make it. What a fortuitous. I told Yaf, I was like, that's why you always introduce yourself with your last name, because you never know. Somebody might recognize you.
I orchestrated the college programs. Yeah.
Oh, I heard it's so
It's
amazing.
been awesome daughter. You're amazing.
Miriam, she just heard Hindi speak, by the way.
Where?
Nisa.
Nisa, this is my mom.
Hi.
Nisa, when did you hear her speak?
For winter.
Oh, yeah.
Hindi spoke during winter break.
3 sessions and then private sessions for
Thank you so much.
It's okay. Now I'm like ready to ready to. It was good. It's fun. It's like a little bit of stress removed from my life. Oh, it's fine. Next time. I actually, whatever. Yeah, it's fine. Have you never been here?
I was here, we had some program here. Yes, we had some kind of oil paint.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that must be it.
like for making trash.
Okay, in June or July? You can take the stairs up.
How long is Lincoln
I'm going to
Square?
take the stairs
How
also.
long is Lincoln Square?
This building is like 2 or 3 years old. Maybe 3, yeah. The old building is still down the street, sad and empty. Say your name again? I'm sorry.
I'm Rivka Kleinberg.
Rivka. Okay. Amazing. Nice to meet you again. Were you there in June or were you in July?
July.
Actually, we're on the internet. Maybe we should have some discussion. You were not my student, right? I didn't have to feel bad about that.
No.
Okay. No, we totally talked about that. Now it all comes back. Thanks. No, I recognize you. Can't believe she's here. Amazing. Okay. Somebody else should be in check. It is on because the last time I turned it off. I was trying to hold it like that so that people wouldn't just look at me. I tried to turn it off last time and then I completely screwed everything up, so now I'm just keeping it on. Keep it rolling. Everybody hears all of my conversations coming downstairs. Nothing awkward about that. Hi guys, thanks. It's still live. I just said everyone heard my whole conversation coming down the stairs. Try and say nothing embarrassing. There we go. Yeah.
I'm Mary. I'm the child member program, by the way. So nice to meet you. Alright, let me see. Somewhere in my
You kind of are. Yeah, right. It kind of looks.
We have a gift for you.
Oh, right. And then the last week I just couldn't make it.
And it was a gift to you.
Oh.
And it got lost.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the thought so much. Now you just made my day. It doesn't matter if I didn't actually get it. Thank you so much. Okay, look at all these happy people.
We figured we got one to Best Buy that you could use at Best Buy.
Oh, thanks.
All these children and all that.
All these children. Doesn't even matter how many I know.
Well, that where you were in life is that you needed this rather than personal adornment.
Oh my gosh, personal adornments is really not my thing. But thanks. Okay, so yeah, you have my cell phone? Do you have my cell phone on you, or you have it? You don't have it. I realized that because I didn't want to stop it because then they you know.
What I don't know is what's going to happen. I mean, I'm there. I'm taking up classes when it's.
Oh, in the morning.
It's there. It's convenient for me. It's easy. She's good. She's over there. What did she teach? It's not like what.
We're on the internet, so I don't. Anything you say now is being shared with whoever is watching at home and on the internet. So let's.
I will not.
I understand. We can talk later. Although it's always nice to praise Wendy Anselm online. Great, thank you so much. I realized afterwards, but then I was happy because when somebody's phone was ringing, I was like, I know it's not mine. Thank you. Okay. This whole Apple thing made me put a password on my phone, which I never had
Nice. I haven't done that. I haven't. Well, I do my own, but I still wait because sometimes you get a correction.
Oh, the 10-9 correction to the 10-9.
Yes.
I didn't get mine till 3 days. They're supposed to be out at the end of January.
Yes.
Everybody, we're going to get started with the actual siyum. How are you? Okay, so mazal tov to all the Misayimot, and really congratulations to all you brilliant, gorgeously brained women out there who committed your time to do this. This is really special for me because I was able to learn with my own daughters and think about all the wonderful, marvelous women who are my teachers, who were some of the learners, and then bringing up my daughters behind me. So I am going to make the siyum on Tanakh, and then Sharon Weiss-Greenberg is going to follow and do the siyum on Shas. There's a beautiful hadran that Rabbi Yonah Reese wrote for a siyum Tanakh that we used recently for my one of my daughter's bat mitzvahs. So it's nice to be able to now say it myself and catch up with my 12-year-old. Okay. All right. Here we go. Hadran alach esrim v'arba'a sifrei hatanach da'atan alach v'da'atach alan esrim v'arba'a sifrei hatanach lo nitnasheninach v'lo titnasheninan lo ba'alma hadain v'lo ba'alma da'ati v'hiraton milfanecha Adonai Elokeinu v'Elohei avotenu asher bachar b'neviim tovim v'rata b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet שבזכות ספרי התנ"ך ממקרי קודש ובזכות פסוקיהם ותיבותיהם ואותיותיהם ונקודותיהם וטעמיהם ושמות הקדושים היוצאים מהם ובזכות נביאי האמת שבטי ישראל וצדקי הדורות המוזכרים בספרי התנ"ך נזכה להיות נועם השם אלוקינו עלינו ומעשה ידינו כוננה עלינו ומעשה ידינו כונננו להיות זוכים היום וביום חתונתנו וביום שמחת ליבנו. לעורר עם הבנים שמחה, לייחד סוד תורה שבכתב עם סוד תורה שבעל פה, בייחוד שלם ואהבה ואחווה ורעות. האל הנאמן בכל דבריו, ימשיך עלינו שפע אור החיים לנפש, רוח ונשמה, להאריך ימינו בטוב וביראת השם, ביראת אדוני כל הימים. וערב נא אדוני אלוהינו את דברי תורתך בפינו ובפי עמך בית ישראל. ונהיה אנחנו וצאצאינו וצאצאי צאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל, כולנו יודעי שמך ולומדי תורתך לשמה. ונשמח ונעלוז בדברי תלמוד תורתך ובמצוותיך ובחוקותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה. יהי אדוני אלוהינו עמנו, כאשר היה עם אבותינו ואמותינו, אל יעזבנו ואל יטשנו, להיטיב לבבנו אליו, ללכת בכל דרכיו ולשמור מצוותיו וחוקותיו ומשפטיו אשר ציווה את אבותינו. ויהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, שכשם שעזרתנו לסיים 24 ספרי התנ"ך ממקרי קודש, כן תעזרנו להמשיך ללמוד ספרים מתורה שבכתב ומתורה שבעל פה ולסיימם, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה, ותפתח ליבנו הרל בסודות תורתך הקדושה. ותאציל עלינו אור מקור נשמותינו בכל בחינותינו. ושיתנוצצו ניצוצי אבינו רואה משה רבינו עליו השלום, אשר על ידו גלית עמקי סודי תורתך. וזכותו וזכות כל נביאי ישראל הקדושים וספריהם וקדושיהם יעמדו לנו, שלא נכשל לעולם ועד, מתת אשרינו מתורתך הקדושה חס ושלום, להיות דבריהם נאמנים ונחמדים, חיים וקיימים לעד עולמי עולמים, עלינו ועל בנינו ועל בנותינו ועל דורתנו ועל כל דורות זרע ישראל עבדיך, על הראשונים ועל האחרונים, דבר טוב וקיים באמת ובאמונה, חוק ולא יעבור. ונזכה ונחיה ונראה ונרש טובה וברכה לחיי העולם הבא, ובזכות התורה הקדושה שבכתב שבעל פה, הושיענו אדוני אלוהינו וקבצנו מן הגויים, ומלוך על כל העולם כולו בכבודך, והינשא על כל הארץ בירכך. והשפיע עלינו אור ישועה ורחמים ממעייני הישועה. אמן, כן יהי רצון. יהי לרצון אמרתי והגיון ליבי, אדוני צורי.
the kavod. We'll begin with very briefly summing up the end of the entire Gemara, which is pretty phenomenal. Tana Devei Eliyahu, there's a bright side from the school of Eliyahu. Kol hashana halachot b'chol yom. Anyone who studies halacha, who's studying Jewish law throughout one's days, muftach lo shehu ben ha'olam haba. Surely he receives a portion of the world to come. I'm going to add the la. He or she will receive a portion of the world to come. Shana Amar, as it says, halichot olam lo. The ways of the world are his. His in that pasuk is referring really to God, but here we're talking about people. Al tikrei halichot. You should not read it as halichot, as ways. Ella halachot, rather as halachot. It's a beautiful way to sum up the hundreds of hours that brought us to here right now, from over 250 women studying Torah, all of them with a great portion of the world to come and a great voice and place in this world right now, affecting change for the positive, for the good, for an inclusive community, empowered women. Go. Hadran alach Talmud Bavli v'hadarach alan, Zatad alach Talmud Bavli v'datach alan, Lan inashe minach Talmud Bavli v'lati inashe minan, Lava alma hadain v'lava alma da'ate. Hadran alach Talmud Bavli v'hadarach alan, Zatan alach Talmud Bavli v'datach alan, Lan inashe minach Talmud Bavli v'lati inashe minan, Lava alma hadain v'lav ve'alma da'ate. Hadran alach Talmud Bavli v'hadarach alan, Zatan alach Talmud Bavli v'datach alan, Lani nashe minach tamubavli velati nashe minan lava mahadin velava madate. Yirakama fanacha Elohinu v'leha v'tenu shtehei tartcha umanutenu balam hazel tehei imanu lalam haba. Chanina bar papa, Rami bar papa, Nachman bar papa, Achai bar papa, Abba Mari bar papa, Rafram bar papa, Rachish bar papa, Surcha bar papa, Azza bar papa, Daru bar papa. Harev na Adonai Elohinu et divrei tartcha b'finu b'fifiot amcha beit Yisrael. Niya nachnu tzatzeinu v'tzatzeim chabeit Yisrael kulani yodei shemacha v'lamdei tartach lishma. Me'oivai techakmini mitzvotecha kiri olam hili. Hili bi tamim v'chukacha leman lo evosh. V'olam lo eshkach pikudecha kivan chitani. Baruch atah Adonai lamdeni chukacha. Amen, 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 sela va'ed. Vodima nachnu lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu shesamta chalkinu miyoshvei beit hamidrash v'lo samta chalkinu miyoshvei kranot. She'anu mashkimim v'hem mashkimim. Anu mashkimim l'divrei Torah v'hem mashkimim l'dvarim b'telim. Anu amelim v'hem amelim. Anu amelim u'mekavlim sachar v'hem amelim v'enam mekavlim sachar. Anu ratzim v'hem ratzim. Anu ratzim l'chayei olam haba v'hem ratzim l'iv'er shachat. Shene'amar v'ata Elohim toridem l'iv'er shachat. Anshe damim u'mirma lo yechatzu yemehem v'ani avtach bach. Yiratzom l'fanecha Adonai Eloheinu Kishem she'azartanu l'sayim Talmud Bavli, Ken ta'azreinu l'hatchil mesachtot l'sfarim acherim l'saymam, v'lmod l'lamed l'shmor v'lasot l'chayim et kol divrei Talmud tartacha v'yava, v'zchut kol hatanaim ha'amoraim u'tamidei chachamim ya'amod, lanu l'zareinu shelo tamush ha'torah mipinu u'mipi zareinu v'zar zareinu ad olam, titkayim banu b'hit halachecha, tenachelt otach, B'shofbecha tishmor alecha, v'hakitzota hi tisichacha. Ki vi yirbu yamecha, v'yosifu lecha shnot chayim. Orach yamim v'yamina, v'smola, asher b'chavod. Adonai oz li'amo yitin, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom.
Guys, you can make the men make their own song.
Oh,
Here we go, we left out.
Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov. Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov. Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov. Yeheilanu, Yeheilanu, L'chol Yisrael. Yeheilanu, Yeheilanu,
Those final fruit in my grandson's
Yeheilanu, Yeheilanu, L'chol Yisrael. Yeheilanu, Yeheilanu, L'chol Yisrael. Torah Hashem Tivima, Torah Hashem Tivima, Torah Hashem Tivima, Neshimata Hachesh. Torah Hashem Tivima, Torah Hashem Tivima,
Trust it.
Torah Hashem
Yeah.
Tivima, Neshimata Hachesh. Hey, Hashem, Emana, Machima, Betsy. Hey, Hashem, Emana, Machima, Betsy. Don't forget to join us next year for the second annual.
Maybe welcome together for the 10th annual.
Everyone, and really Shalom Al Yisrael, and I mean that both Al Yisrael and Al Yisrael. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, thanks all.
Oh, gosh.
I pressed the wrong button before, so I'm not going to press any buttons now. Give it back to Sharon. Good.
I did for very serious surgery, but sometimes the next day they wake them up and they met them and they're 3 inches taller than me, you know.
Can I talk to you now? I'm like,
Mazel Your filmer.
Thanks,
Mazel. Bye. Say Mazel. No.